it's vinyl or wood or whatever, or fiber cement. You don't caulk that. That's there in case any water gets behind the siding. It runs down and you seal that metal to the wall, right? And then you put the siding over top of it so that water runs on top of that metal and then comes out and falls in front of the window.
And that's on any window.
That's any, yeah.
What about the sides with HardiePlank?
Caulk it.
Next to a window?
Caulk,
You do?
yep.
So you're just,
seal those.
you don't caulk here and you don't caulk above the window?
Correct. All the drip caps stay open, and all the butt joints get that little piece of flashing behind it.
Do you caulk with vinyl above the window?
No, because there's J channel involved with vinyl. See,
Okay.
with Hardie, you can butt right up to the window, okay, and then you caulk that line, okay. With vinyl, they actually it's called J channel, okay, because it's shaped like a J, and the vinyl actually locks in that. So you put the J channel up first, next to the window. If this is the window frame, you put the J channel here, and then the vinyl locks in there. And then you caulk the J channel, because the J channel is like a little mini gutter system that runs around all the windows and the doors. It comes down, it's got a little channel in there, and it runs down around and out the bottom.
So, let's say you've got a buyer who's buying a house HardiePlank,
Mhm.
and you see that the butt joints have been caulked. Can you fix it?
Sure,
Yeah, but it's, and how much of a screw up is that?
that's a huge screw up.
Huge screw up.
All the
It's a
warranties are
step.
gone.
Right.
All the warranties are gone.
Void.
And the issue is, I mean, you can
And
go
it
through.
will malfunction.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because that caulk is going to crack, and if there's nothing behind it, then any water that's getting in there is going to get to the wall.
Yeah.
That really makes me question whether or not they prepped the wall correctly with a true vapor barrier. Did they put anything up there? Do they have a vapor barrier up there? You know, all that kind of stuff. But you can have somebody go through and with a razor blade and cut out all that caulk on each one of the little things, and then try and reflash it. But the problem is going to be securing that flashing up behind,
Yeah.
all the way up behind. Can it be done? I'm sure it can. I've never
That's small.
tried it, but yeah.
But just because they caulk,
Some
I mean,
Do they have authorized
maybe in a
installers
hopeful
or
world,
anything?
they still put that
actually had an
felt
estimate, like,
behind it and
12
then
years ago,
caulk
I'd say,
it.
well, probably more like 8 years ago, to have everything redone with HardiePlank, all the trim, just the trim, and it was $17,000,
Mhm.
and so it's like, you know, at least a couple thousand every 4 or 5 years to, so I thought it was worth it, but, Ebenezer didn't.
Again, just like you guys in the real estate market with numbers, I'm jaded. I can walk up to a house now, pull in the driveway and say, okay, they want HardiePlank, and I'm looking, and I can, without even measuring, I'm gonna say that's gonna be between 23 and 25 grand. And then when I come up with the estimate and it's 24.8, I go, oh, that's not bad. Almost forgetting that it's $25,000, right? It's the same thing when you guys are looking at a house. Oh, okay, that's gonna be about 700. Oh, that's not bad. But then for me, if I'm about 700, holy moly, that's a lot of money. That kind of thing. But yeah, costs have skyrocketed in the last few years. It follows petroleum. Everything follows
So it's
petroleum.
gotten more expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. Should have
Sorry,
done,
everything
Should've
follows,
done
what
it.
you said?
Petroleum.
Petroleum.
Yeah,
Knew it then.
everything is linked to oil. Mhm.
So do you, based on what you've seen on HardiePlank installations,
Mhm.
are we gonna be seeing 5 years from now houses that we're looking at reselling or whatever? Is it, that this is gonna be a big issue that they weren't installed properly? I mean, or are you seeing that they have been installed properly?
I'm gonna say 95% of the Hardie that's out there right now has been done correctly. If I were to take, obviously I don't know, but I've seen a heck of a lot more of it. It's becoming more and more prevalent because vinyl has gotten much more expensive because it's petroleum based. The gap used to be between vinyl and Hardie used to be like this, price wise. But now Hardie's gone up just because of transportation costs. But vinyl, it's manufacturing and transportation, so the gap's like this. Okay? So we're doing very, very, very little vinyl, unless it's an HOA control community that says, you have to have a certain color or something like that, or it's somebody that turns and says, I never want to have to touch the house for 50 years. The thing about Hardie is you will have to paint it. 15 years from now, you're going to have to paint it again. Okay.
Is it typically twice as much as vinyl or 1.5 times or?
Let's see. No, right now it's probably 50%. You know, I think vinyl is running anywhere from $4 to $5 a square foot, depending on what vinyl you're using and all that kind of stuff. And the Hardie is gonna run you somewhere between $6.50 and $8 a square foot. Unless you're doing the cedar shakes and stuff like that, you know, the Hardie cedar shakes, those are crazy, ridiculously expensive. And they're only, they only come in 3-foot sections, so they're nuts. Those are like $15 or $18 a square foot.
So you're saying that that's a bad siding job
Right.
to do, but isn't that what it looks like after 20 years?
Only if it's.
Well, again, yes, because the
It's like loud.
vinyl that was made 20 years ago was horrible. Okay?
Right.
What a lot of these installers, we're talking about, you know, installers that don't know what they're doing and things like that. When you're installing vinyl, the temperature has everything to do with the installation because the vinyl expands so much and contracts so much. Okay? So, in the middle of the summer, we do what's called a tight install. Everything's nice and tight and butted up, and we stretch it as much as we can because it's not going to expand anymore when it's 95 degrees outside. It's going to do nothing but contract. Okay? So if we do a loose install in the summer and it contracts even more, you're going to get massive gaps everywhere. And it's the exact opposite in the winter. When it's cold outside, that 12-foot vinyl plank is really 11 7/8. So it's going to expand when it gets warm. So we do what's called a loose install. So, you know, you leave a little bit of play in it. So when in the summertime, when it does expand, you don't get everything popping and moving and waves and stuff like that. You got to be aware of these kinds of things. There are too many people that go out there in the wintertime and do it, you know, nail it up as tight as they can. And then all of a sudden that first summer, it's popping and moving and nails them going all over the place because they didn't know what the heck they were doing in the first place.
And the builders do
They're
all the
doing
time.
it all.
Well, it's the
the
same thing
time.
with composite, like Trex flooring, composite flooring for decks. In the summer, butt them right up, no problem. In the wintertime, you have to leave gaps because if you do this and they expand, everything pops. You know, you get the deck boards moving and shaking and grooving and doing all kinds of funky stuff. So.
So you have to look at it.
So anyway, yeah, with the vinyl, warping, waving, any kind of discoloration, again, it's not, the old vinyl's horrible. Okay. The wood siding, you know, woodpeckers love it, squirrels love it, raccoons love it, they'll eat any of that stuff. The fiber cement, obviously, the siding itself isn't gonna fail, it's the installation you're really looking for. And then with any masonry, again, cracking, oversettling, bad mortar. So, some bad cedar siding, and then this. Remember I mentioned the overdig for the fountain,
Yeah.
going way
Yeah.
back last week. What happens, stoops fall away from houses constantly, because what happens is that overdig that they did for the foundation gets filled with McDonald's boxes and, you know,
Beer cans.
Corona bottles and beer cans and 7-Eleven cups and all, and then they just kind of push whatever, and then they do this to it. Okay, we're good. It's not compacted right. Then they put this, you know, 4,000-pound masonry stoop on it, and the thing just goes away from the house. Okay, very, very common. The only thing you can really do is that concrete injection that we're talking about. You know, you have to dig out underneath it and dig down to the footer and either put piers in or inject some more concrete. Relatively expensive. There are ways you can repair the mortar and things like that, but if you're really going to correct it and raise that stoop back up, you got to get underneath it and get it supported. Yeah. Happens 99.5% of the time.
But structurally, it's not an issue, but it
No.
could,
It's the ground underneath it that's causing it.
right,
attached.
but it could, right, exactly, but it could allow
Well-
water to get, I guess,
Right.
down in and under.
This guy, again, you're supposed to run rebar back into the
Yeah.
foundation. So the main step might be attached to the house per se, but everything that's coming off isn't attached to anything. So that's where you start. If the whole concrete stoop is coming away from the house, then obviously it's not connected to the house in any way, shape, or form.
Right, right.
Okay.
But in old construction, it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah. Looks like those two steps are different brick even than the other.
Yeah, it looks like they,
It does
again,
look like-
it looks like they were patched and then all
Yeah.
kinds of issues, and I'm pretty sure that that's an illegal
It's not the right.
step, because they all have to be within,
Trip, that's
a-
like you need to trip and.
they all have to be within a quarter inch of one another, and yeah. Yeah.